Alright guys, welcome back to another video, and today I wanted to show you guys the Street Fighter 6 game running on the Nintendo Switch, and also do a couple of quick comparisons on the game running on my Steam Deck as well, and just talk about, how the game is actually performing. We're not doing a deep dive into the actual full game, but more about what it feels like to play on the Nintendo Switch, what it looks like in handheld mode, what it looks like on my OLED monitor, what it looks like in comparison to the Steam Deck version, some of the new modes that they added into the Switch version and stuff like that we're going to be talking about here today. Street Fighter 6 has been out for a while, and I want to see how good of a port this actually is. So let's go ahead and get into the video.
Gaming tech, eating brekkie is the gaming tech. Going for a brekkie is the gaming tech. Gaming techie is the gaming tech. Gaming techie.
Alright guys, so here we are with Street Fighter 6. So we can go ahead and show it off first in handheld mode as you guys are looking at here. So we're going to go ahead and just show off a little bit of gameplay here. You can see we have it on the Switch screen. Honestly, the game looks fantastic in handheld mode and looks even better when connected to your dock, which we're going to show off gameplay for both. And I'll show a little bit of the Steam Deck as well to show you guys that this is running better than the Steam Deck version that I had before, which is one of the reasons why I got it on here. There's a few reasons why I decided to buy games on the Switch versus the, on my Steam Deck and stuff, which I'll get into on a different video that will be posted today as well, showcasing the Steam Deck versus the Switch 2 and how I prioritize which games to get on which we'll talk about in that video. But for right now, we're talking about Street Fighter on the Nintendo Switch in handheld mode. So there are three main modes here in Street Fighter, just like you would have expected. There's the World Tour mode, then you also have the multiplayer space. Now there is two new modes, something that I'm probably not going to play a lot on the Nintendo Switch. Two that they did add to this, which is under special match. One of them is calorie contest, where you're basically fighting one-on-one with someone and you're just as fast-paced as possible, using the motion controls of the Nintendo Switch Joy-Cons, trying to see who can burn the most calories. That's one of the modes on there. And there is also Gyro Battle, which is the other mode that's been added to the Nintendo Switch version that you get to play on here, and basically you're using the gyro controls to basically do it. As you can see here, battle against a CPU or another human opponent, and you're basically using the controls. You can do team battle and stuff. And you're using the Joy-Cons to do specific moves and stuff like that, as you can see here. Now, we're not going to be touching those two modes here today. I'm just showing you guys how this runs in the performance mode and just talking a little bit about my experience here on the Nintendo Switch version in handheld and on the dock mode. So we're going to just go ahead and concentrate on regular 1v1, but just know that there's also local wireless, so this game does also support local wireless as well. So if you and another person have a Switch nearby, you can go ahead and play together. You both need to own a copy of the game. It does not support game share or anything like that, but you can do a wireless match and an avatar match with local people next to you, 1v1, which is obviously awesome that that's actually supported. Now we're going to go ahead and do 1v1 here in versus mode to show you guys what the graphics run like. We're going to go ahead and put the commentary on. We'll leave this on here as well.
Next up, stage selection.
So obviously here on the Switch, you have all the different, arenas that you want to battle in, since this includes Season 1 and 2. All the characters are unlocked. We're going to go ahead and just choose Luke for the time being. Like I said, I think in handheld mode, it looks really good. And of course looks better than the Steam Deck version, which I'll compare it to here after this match, just because of the fact that, first of all, right off the bat, the Steam Deck is running a 710p screen, as opposed to the Switch version, which, has a 1080p screen. So text is going to look sharper, the textures are going to look sharper. So here we go.
Their approach. Player 1 pushes the opponent into the corner. Hits the back throw. Looking to set something.
Now, I'm not an expert Street Fighter player, as you guys will probably notice in this video.
Taking stock.
But you can see the backgrounds and stuff had a good amount of textures, especially more textures than the Steam Deck version does. Again, especially because of that 720p screen that has versus this one.
around in their favor.
But it looks really, really good in handheld. It performs really well at 60 FPS. Oh, I just got hit. Game over for me. Also, playing this behind a camera while trying to talk is also not the easiest thing in the world.
But can they keep it up?
The game is just super fun.
Immediate jumping. Hits him with a vagabond edge. They're going for the super arm.
Oh, and I just missed.
Lucian beats assaults them from the air.
Usually not this bad, but apparently I'm getting wrecked today.
Anti-air drops him. Blocks him. You've got to be mindful of reach and jump-ins at this range. Jumps up. Ooh, lands a rising uppercut. Poses him. Hidden variable. Uses the gauge for a super arm. Broken blast. Dangerous
A little bit of a
range.
comeback. Oh, and I just messed it up.
Juicy damage. And then closes
Got her.
down.
All right, all right.
Here's the final round. The real fight starts now. Opens with a jump in. This is it. Who's gonna take it all? They're laying into each other. Goes out of sight.
Got lucky that I even blocked that
This is over.
because I was jumping from my own move.
Both sides getting ready. Risky up close scraps low heavy. Going in. Okay, connects with the throw. This may turn into a big
Oh,
hit.
shit.
Tricky hidden variable. Heads up. Player one is in a very good spot now. Looking to follow up after that success time with the jump in. Amazing. Oh, yo, look, they are.
There we go. At least I redeemed myself a little bit.
A lot of fights in my day, but none
But you can see how good that looks, in my opinion. It looks fantastic on the Switch version here. And we're going to go ahead and leave this on the screen. We're going to go ahead and bring in the Steam Deck for you guys, just to show you guys. And I'm going to obviously have it auto battle. So I'm going to just stand there and not really control anything, just so you guys can take a look at it. So I'm going to put the Steam Deck here in front of us. I'll try to elevate these both for you guys so you guys can get a picture of both here as best we can. So running the exact same characters, running the exact same screen. Steam Deck is running at 60 FPS. I'll try to move it up a little bit like this so you guys can see both as it's running through. But let's go ahead and request rematch. Here's the Steam Deck version.
Now the fun begins.
Get a closer look at that. You can see the textures are not as sharp in the background or everything, but again, that's kind of expected. Again, obviously they both look really good overall, but you know, first of all, the Switch also has a bigger screen as well, which obviously adds to that immersion here. I want to go up and do this on an angle above head too, so you guys can see it on this last battle. Get a different perspective. When you look close at this stuff side by side, even though they both look and run great, like I said, you can tell that the textures are a little clearer. The 1080p screen definitely makes a difference on the Switch OLED, or sorry, on the Switch 2. On top of the fact that, you know, you have a little bit of a bigger screen on the Switch 2, which just makes it more fun to play. Even though this OLED Steam Deck is not that far behind from the screen, but it is still a little smaller. But you can see that on the Switch there, as you guys can see how that worked. It looks really, really good on both, but obviously, if I had a choice, I would definitely choose the Switch version because of the 1080p screen, the sharper textures, and, you know, but they both do run really well, and I don't think you'd be complaining either way. But since I have both options, I will continue to play the version on the Switch. Not to mention that one of the reasons that I got the Switch to begin with is because I love not only the local wireless mode, which is obviously great that that's an option on here, but I pick up a lot of games on the Switch when it comes to things that you can play either local multiplayer or, you know, with friends at home and stuff like that add like these creative things. And on the Steam Deck, that's obviously not something I'm going to be doing, and I don't really connect the Steam Deck to a dock or anything like that and put it on a 1080p screen, because then the Steam Deck is definitely going to lag behind, because it's not optimized for that to run on a 1080p screen. It's optimized for its 720p screen, so it's definitely going to run and perform worse than you would have this Switch 2 version here. But one of the things that I like is this special match stuff on here, where you can go ahead and it's basically a bunch of party modes. Now, of course, this is on the Steam Deck too, but again, the nature of the Switch 2, where I can just take this portably and then dock it on a dock really easily and play this with other friends, is obviously a lot easier than taking a Steam Deck and connecting it. You know, if you buy a dock and stuff like that, it's not going to perform as well. And you can see all of these different things on here. It just adds a bunch of fun. First to get 5 knockdowns. Push a seesaw bar to your opponent's side. Just a lot of various effects occur at random. So all of these different things just add. And I'm sure you guys have seen this on this game before, because like again, it's not new for the Switch 2, but all of these modes, just like, it's super fun to just play this with your friends on the TV when you go to someone's house and just bring this everywhere you go, and I don't have to worry about it. And it is super fun to do this way. I can prop this up on the Switch 2, and I don't even have to use the dock if I don't want to. But grab a Joy-Con, split the controllers up, and 2 of us can play back to back, something that you can't do with the Steam Deck either. So it is super fun to play. And let me now show you what this looks like when connected to my monitor that is an OLED screen, so you can see how good this actually performs and how surprised I was on how good this game looks when on your TV connected. All right, so we're back here on my screen. As you can see here, it's connected to my 32-inch Alienware OLED monitor, and we're going to go ahead and see what this looks like. We're going to use the exact same characters and level, just so you guys can kind of compare it side by side if you guys want to. So we're going to go ahead and go into Versus. We'll leave everything there the same way it was. Again, we'll choose the same stage and the same characters.
Now, fighters have chosen their characters. It's time to go.
I think this port, they did a great job with it. I think this port, they did a great job with it, and it looks really good.
Oh, looks like these two have more beef than a Philly cheesesteak. Oh, ready?
And you can see here, this looks really, really good in my opinion, with the way that this looks. I'm really surprised that this is coming from a Switch, especially after having the Switch 1 and just seeing how third-party developers got games running, and seeing something like this.
Something with the super. All right, what's coming up next? It's a big gamble and rips out a raw super.
Got blocked, so that didn't work out.
Takes a trip. At this range, many attacks can connect if you stick something out. The neutral game is very important.
And again, I'm still learning this game. Learning the controls on the Switch. But man, this looks really, really good. I'm super, super impressed with how good this game runs at 60 frames per second. And like I said, on the screen, it looks really good in handheld mode, but I'm surprised on how good it looks blown up here too. You can tell that more power is definitely being used on the Switch version here.
Avoids getting stuck in it. They're going for the super art. Comes crashing down on them with the pushing beat. Player 1 is in a pretty good situation with the meter again. Impaler incoming. Their life is solid as a hand. Super clutch corner smash. Knockout and uses the target combo with a 2K. Oh.
There you go.
Player 1 brings it home.
My terrible skills at Street Fighter that I'm still learning, but it is super fun to play. And as you can see, I think it runs really, really good on here. And you know, really, really happy with it. Obviously, I had it on the Steam Deck as well, but I'm a lot happier to have it on the Switch, because I can bring this anywhere I go. I can play with 2 players by just ripping the Joy-Cons out, which is obviously a perk of the Switch 2 in general. It looks better than it does on the Steam Deck as well, so when I want to bring this portably. But it's not just that it looks better, because I wouldn't have been the only reason that I got it, just because it looks slightly better on here. It's the fact that I can play all of these things with people online. It's the fact that I can play this anywhere with other people by splitting those controllers up or docking it on a Switch and play all of these fun modes that exist in Extreme Battle that I was talking about before, which is obviously fun. It's the fact that they added local wireless, so if I have a friend nearby that wants to do it, we can go ahead and do that. And it's just really fun. And obviously the full game is here. You have the entire season pass of 1 and 2 is on here, which is awesome. You obviously have fighting grounds and everything that has. You have the story mode. You have the battle hub here. Battle hub does not run as well as the 1v1 match that a lot of us are going to be playing and stuff. It runs about 30-ish FPS on here, kind of like the Xbox Series S ran and stuff like that, which is expected. But the actual one-to-one fighting moment in this game does run at a solid 60 FPS and it looks fantastic, as you guys just saw here. So super happy with the port that they did on here. And if you guys have any questions about this on the Switch 2 or anything about this on the Steam Deck, leave those questions down below. If not, thank you guys for watching. Until next time.